What if you were dragged into a world of immortal cultivators, promised the power of a god, and then handed absolutely nothing? This is the story of the weakest man alive, and how he accidentally became the most feared name in the cultivation world. Meet Feng. He crossed over from our world with a cheat system that swore it would gift him unrivaled martial arts, a personal training ground, and yes, a beautiful harem. Every skill maxed out. Divine boxing, godly swordplay, the works. It sounded like the perfect fantasy life. There was just one catch. To cultivate anything in this world, you need a spiritual root. And when Feng got tested, nothing. No spiritual root. Not a trace. 4 or 5 long years, he went back again and again, and the answer never changed. He is the one person in this entire world who can never cultivate. So he gave up. If a rootless nobody can never be the main character, why fight it? He decided to become a salted fish and started hawking cheap hand-drawn picture books on a street corner just to survive. Except those worthless doodles hide something not even Feng understands. A cultivator stuck for years reads a single page and instantly shatters her limits, breaking through to a whole new realm. Now the entire cultivation world is whispering the same thing. A hidden, unfathomable god is walking among mortals. He thinks he's trash. They are about to place him above 10,000 people. Let's get into it. On the Xinjiang continent, an age of immortal cultivation is dawning, where mortals dream of one day breaking through into godhood. It all kicked off with a grinning influencer named Garbage Ash, who declares he has discovered an unusual new version of immortal cultivation. He promises it only takes 3 minutes to fall in love with cultivating. And just like that, the whole continent hastily plunges into a golden generation of immortal cultivators. Somewhere in the city, a young man clicks his tongue at yet another breakthrough and grumbles about which lucky fool broke through this time. He introduces himself as Feng, a traverser, someone crossed over from another world. He says it all started 5 years ago. Back then, he played an immortal cultivation simulator for 90 hours straight, dropped dead from sudden death, and woke up inside the actual world of cultivating immortals. Shocked at first, he quickly calms down and thinks it is like a wonderful dream. A crack splits the air, and a glowing figure descends. It greets him warmly and announces it is the savior that every traverser looks forward to the most. It calls itself the system, the golden finger, the ultimate cheat every transmigrator prays for. Feng gawks so hard the system snaps, asking if he's trying to humiliate it by staring like that. Then it lays out the goods, telling the kid he will acquire a martial arts system unparalleled in the world with boxing, swordsmanship, rod, palm, and forging techniques all on par with the gods. Feng can barely believe it, realizing he can finally cultivate in this world of immortality. The system keeps going, promising to upgrade all his martial skills to the maximum level and even conjure a 600 square meter martial arts gym out of thin air. Feng is over the moon, declaring he is finally ready to start his immortal cultivation journey. Then the system pauses and mutters, immortal? What? It explains that to cultivate, you must first have a spiritual root. Feng blankly repeats the words, a spiritual root? The system shrugs that this is not its responsibility, says there are other travelers waiting for its salvation, and cheerfully waves by before vanishing. Feng is left standing alone in stunned silence. In other words, his cheat just abandoned him. At the spiritual root testing center, the examiner freaks out, shouting that everyone has spiritual roots and asking if Feng is even human. He tells the little brother, with all due respect, that the road to immortality is simply not his destiny. Feng recalls that over 5 years, he went back to the testing center again and again. And every single time the verdict was the same: no spiritual root, no spiritual root, no spiritual root. He watches the whole ladder of power climb past him, from martial practitioner and master up through grandmaster, emperor, ancestor, and celestial, and figures dominating the world or feeling the thrill of advancement all has nothing to do with him. So he decides it is better to just become a salted fish, because someone with no spiritual root can never be the main character. He resigns himself to setting up a street stall, selling books, and recruiting members, since otherwise he could never survive in this world. One day, a curious young cultivator spots his stall and tugs at her sister, exclaiming she has never seen books like these and that they are definitely special. Feng flips into full salesman mode, greeting the ladies as rich people and offering to serve them like a gentleman. But the elegant sister sizes him up, notes he has a refined temperament, then dismisses him as just an ordinary mortal and tells her companion Luo Li to leave. The sister says money is better spent in useful places, while the little one Luo Li whines that she wants the book and begs to stay. The sister scolds her, reminding Luo Li they are both immortal cultivators facing a critical situation at Castle Peak Gate, and asks how she has leisure to read picture books. She asks what is the point of buying an ordinary mortal's drawing books. Meanwhile, Feng sweats, wanting to hustle, but too intimidated by the cultivators to even move, as Luo Li keeps insisting she wants to buy it. After a tense standoff, the sister finally gives in, slaps down the money, and tells the delighted Luo Li that they are leaving now. The two cultivators head out of the city with their new purchase in hand. On the road, Luo Li gushes that the book is really beautiful, unlike anything she has ever seen, and begs her sister to look at it together. The sister reluctantly agrees to take a look, muttering just deal with it, then squints at the crude doodles and wonders what on earth she is even looking at. Suddenly she gasps, saying that what she felt in that instant is something only cultivators can sense, like a loneliness of being abandoned by the entire galaxy. Then it flips into being surrounded by warmth at a festival carnival, as some overwhelming force desperately rushes to fill the loopholes in her cultivation and makes her realize the truth. Power erupts around her, and she throws her head back, laughing in disbelief at what is happening to her body. Trembling, she realizes it, wondering if the bookseller from just now could actually be a world-class expert, and decides this must be reported to their master as soon as possible. A rival cultivator storms into Castle Peak Gate, the sect led by Lu Qingshan of the Wuling realm, coldly announcing that he has come to harvest ahead. He looks Lu Qingshan dead in the eye and brags that he already killed the monster beast himself. He thanks Castle Peak Gate for all their hard work, gloating that he swooped in and took the kill without any fuss. Lu Qingshan's side sees that they hunted this demon for months and are watching him snatch the finished product. The intruder is Ning Xuanwu, ancestor of the Quanwu sect, freshly broken through in the Wuling realm. He sneers that they should come at him if they dare. He does not mind. He offers Lu Qingshan a death ride before the official competition, flexing the fact that he now stands in the realm of Martial King. Lu Qingshan realizes in horror that the spiritual power Ning just absorbed has pushed him all the way to the realm of Martial King. Ning sets the terms. In the death fight 3 days from now, if Lu Qingshan can beat him, he will let him go. Otherwise, Castle Peak Gate will be swallowed whole by the Quanwu sect. The only way to survive this crisis, someone concludes, is to beg a truly powerful expert for help. Cut to Feng, our mortal, narrating cultivator gossip to a street crowd with a completely blank face, quietly panicking that these lazy layabouts are no longer entertained and dreading that he is about to be unemployed. Back at the sect, the disciples reassure each other that Master Lu Qingshan is always indomitable in a crisis, never backs down, and only burns hotter the harder he is pushed. Behind the door, the reality is nothing but grim, dead silence. Alone, Lu Qingshan is falling apart, cursing that he has no way to beat Ning Xuanwu. Stuck in the martial spirit realm for years without a single breakthrough, certain he is going to be killed. Then his disciple Lan Shui calls out that she has something to ask him. He hurriedly clears his throat, wipes the despair off his face, and calmly tells her to come in. Lan Shui hesitates, and he presses her to spit out. She suggests a mortal, insisting the man may actually be a peerless hidden master of the entire cultivation world. Lu Qingshan explodes that this book is nothing out of the ordinary, completely useless, and that she was fooled by common street folk. Lan Shui begs him to just look at it, willing to accept any punishment if she has lied. Grudgingly, he cracks the book open to take a look. The instant his eyes hit the page, he is yanked into an enlightenment vision, staggered to find a sunset and a vast prairie unfolding inside his own mind. He realizes that no one has tested his strength in all his years as sect master, that his so-called retreat was really him running from the fight with Quan Wu, and profound martial insight comes flooding in. In total silence, the mortal's worthless doodle detonates his cultivation. Meanwhile, Feng grumbles that some jerk out there just broke through again, and now his noodles do not even smell good anymore. At the sected disciple gasps that the master has genuinely broken through into the realm of King Wu. Shaken by what just happened, Lu Qingshan can only murmur Lan Shui's name. Convinced this mortal's cultivation is unfathomable, he wonders what possible reason such a master could have to sell cheap mortal picture books, and realizes he rudely mouthed off and offended that lord earlier without thinking. He breaks into a cold sweat, terrified that if the mortal is angry, he will surely destroy Castle Peak Gate outright. Back on the street, Feng can finally eat some meat, savoring the smell. He gloats that 2 idiot cultivators bought his book for a whole gold coin, which he traded for 2 caddies of meat, since mortal techniques are worthless around here. Then someone starts screaming to catch the wild dog that just stole their meat. The thieving dog is actually a wolf prince from the demon world, ranting that if he had not been framed by his own clan and left nearly drained of spiritual power, he would have swallowed these humans long ago. He spits that these humans are fragile and stupid creatures. Then he spots a mortal standing in his path, figures that killing a defenseless mortal is easy even at his weakened power, and lunges to kill. His strike lands squarely on Feng and simply does absolutely nothing. The wolf reels back, utterly stunned. Feng deadpants about the silly dog wandering into the city, while the wolf cannot believe his power did not work at all. The wolf's mind spins, unable to understand what this guy just did, since his attack did not affect the mortal in the slightest. He starts to wonder if he is actually scared. He denies it furiously, insisting he would not fear a mortal even if besieged by 5 martial spirit cultivators, just as Feng eyes him and remarks that the little cutie looks delicious. Scared out of his mind, the wolf prince can only wonder just how monstrously strong this mortal really is. A starving, ragged kid slumps in the street, wondering aloud if they really are a hopeless loser who can never change their fate, sobbing an apology to their uncle for letting everyone down. A barbecue vendor catches the kid eyeing his grill and sneers that from that hungry crouch, they must be planning to steal his meat. He brags his barbecue is famous across the world and swears he would not share a bite even if they called him dad, while the smell keeps drifting into the kid's nose. The kid proudly declares they would rather starve than eat his food. Then a second later, hunger wins, and they snatch it anyway, the vendor shrieking that they are being robbed. When someone assumes the kid is a girl who was driven out of the Qingshan sect, the kid huffs that it is obvious, then adds that, by the way, they are a boy. The picture book boss watches and muses that with such good looks the kid should have become an idol instead of chasing immortal cultivation, noting this kid has had the same rotten luck he once had. Feeling a strange kinship, the boss tosses over the key to his martial arts hall, saying he happens to be short of a hand and telling the kid to just follow him. He casually orders the new recruit to mind the hall while he goes to buy seasonings, ignoring their sputtering protests that they never agreed to be his staff. Left alone, the kid quietly admits that a steady job might finally put their worried parents at ease. Half an hour later, 2 visitors step into the martial arts hall, calling out to ask if the boss is around. One of them freezes the moment he spots the shopkeeper's cheap hand-drawn martial books, utterly stunned by the paintings. Flipping a single page, he feels an overwhelming force surge through him, suddenly itching to fight and slice something apart. The Qingshan cultivator cannot read a single word, yet he swears his very scabbard is trembling, convinced the doodles are profound artwork whispering to him about sect disputes and the balance of strength and weakness. The androgynous new hire greets the pair and asks if they have come as guests. The 2 laugh awkwardly and explain that they are from the Qingshan sect. At the word Qingshan sect, the hire panics, Certain the cultivators have come to arrest them for sneaking into the Qingshan gate. They throw themselves to the floor begging for their life, swearing never to sneak in again and pleading not to be fed to the dogs, leaving the two cultivators baffled and asking them to please get up. But the senior reinterprets the groveling as something holy, lecturing that even Buddha was a deity who tested whether believers kept a clean heart, and scolding his junior Lan Shui not to be so rude, wondering if this servant was sent by the elder to test them. The cultivators then notice what the higher is clutching and gasp that it is a feather duster. They decide the duster must be a sacred lesson, that removing dust means clearing away distracting thoughts, and only by throwing those away can anything be accomplished. Convinced this is the first trial their senior hinted at, they vow to show the seniors their true sincerity today. Ignoring the higher's protests, the cultivators seize the duster and start frantically cleaning, shouting that they will sweep away every last miscellaneous thought, cheering each other on with total devotion. The bewildered higher begs them to stop since this is literally their own job, wondering if these people are really Qingshan cultivators, and insisting once more that they are a boy. The boss returns and, seeing them, decides that since they came to pay for a book, he will forgive the earlier trouble, and he invites them to stay for dinner. The cultivators whisper in awe that they cannot see through the boss's cultivation base at all, certain this man's strength is utterly unfathomable, while he cheerfully plans a dog meat hot pot for the night. Watching him cook, the senior tells Lan Shui that this knife technique looks completely ordinary, yet the sliced ingredients seem reborn as if brought back to life. Then they spot his main ingredient, a wolf they believe is one of the rarest monsters alive, and they gape in horror at the idea that the boss intends to cook and eat a demon wolf. They reason that anyone who would dare do this must surpass even the martial emperor realm, recalling that in the rebellion of gods and demons, the demon wolves once held off an attack of 30,000 to save their defeated clan. Suddenly, the demon wolf breaks free of its bindings, baring its fangs and ready to fight to the death. Instead of striking, the boss gently pets the beast, saying it looks a little like one he raised before he crossed over and offering to keep it as his pet, and the demon wolf simply surrenders, leaving the cultivators moved to tears by his supposed kindness. The cultivators realize that a man who can stun a peak demon wolf with a single knife might just be willing to lend them a real magic weapon. Lan Shui drops to his knees and begs the boss to lend him this knife to save the sect from extinction. The boss just blinks at them, completely confused. The senior hisses that his junior is exposing his greed far too openly, while Lan Shui panics that the master now looks displeased. But the boss simply shrugs and hands the blade over, saying it is nothing valuable and that he can knock out 2 or 3 kitchen knives a day anyway. He privately pities the pair as so poor they cannot even afford a kitchen knife, while they clutch it like a blessing from heaven upon their Qingshan sect. Elsewhere, the Xuanwu sect ancestor Ning, Xuanwu emerges from his retreat and orders everyone out except the messenger from the Qingshan gate, whom he demands to see at once. In the Xuanwu secret room, the messenger introduces himself as Yu Wujia with flattering greetings, and the ancestor snaps at him to drop the hypocrisy and just get to the point. The subordinate steadies himself and says he has come today to deliver a report. What the ancestor had feared just 2 days ago, he reveals, has indeed come to pass, and the room sinks into a heavy silence. Deep in the Xuanwu sect's secret room, an elder reports that Qingshan's ancestor has just clawed his way into the realm of Martial King. The master only scoffs, boasting that he has ruled that realm for over 30 years, while his rival is a mere toddler learning to walk. The master cuts to it, saying a small rumor would never drag him out this late. So get to the real point. His informant reports that earlier that day, Qingshan rushed home and summoned every disciple to the square. The disciples had no idea why, only that their master called it some kind of trial. The sex-planted spy, teacher Zhu Yun, presses to learn what is really going on. He explains that the Qingshan sect's test jewel is famously indestructible, a stone that shrugs off even a heavy blow from a magic weapon with barely a scratch. Back in the flashback, The revered master solemnly produces the sect's new treasure for the test. It turns out to be a chipped, broken kitchen knife. The disciples groan that the pressure has finally broken their master, and someone should fetch a doctor, sneering about what is the point of even trying with a knife. Stung by these cold, white-eyed wolves, the master decides the blade's power is unknown, so he had better tap the jewel gently first. He gives the indestructible jewel the lightest possible tap. That feather-light tap detonates. The test jewel that once laughed off magic weapons is blown apart in a single stroke. Two bickering onlookers gape at the blast, one crying to look at the spectacular meteor swarm, the other snapping that the meteors are flying straight at them. They sense the overwhelming martial intent pouring off the blade and realize it must be a peerless magic weapon, wondering how mere cultivators ever got their hands on it. Elsewhere, a man mistakes the exploding light for a shooting star and hurriedly wishes for a harem of countless women and mountains of money, so much that food comes just by opening his mouth and close by stretching out his hands, the prayer running on for 1,000 more words. Back at the square, the disciples stare at the smoking crater where their treasure stood, unable to process what the hell just happened. Then it hits them that this cheap knife is unstoppable and their Qingshan sect is saved. The terrified disciple who swung it swears he barely tapped it, insisting the knife's power is simply too much. The master gravely warns them never to draw the blade unless truly forced, because its power is beyond even his control. A disciple gushes over how domineering it is, and they conclude the mysterious master, he who forged it, must stand above the realm of martial ancestor. Fired up, Qingshan's master declares that the day after tomorrow he will face the Xuanwu sect in a fight to the death. But in the enemy's secret room, the elders reason that his modest talent could never break through this fast, and that magic weapon could not simply appear, so someone powerful must be backing him. An uneasy elder wonders aloud whether they should do something about this hidden benefactor. The Xuanwu master turns on his kneeling informant, reminding him that the poison of the ice toad has been eating at his body for 3 straight days. He tosses over the antidote as the reward for today's tip-off, telling the spy to work hard, and promising that once the job is done he will finally set him free. The desperate informant grovels, thanking the master over and over for his boundless kindness. The master then summons Ling Yaoer, a female disciple of the Xuanwu sect, telling her to follow him to the sword graveyard. She purrs that she simply cannot wait. Together they descend into the forbidden sword graveyard, a silent field of buried and broken blades. A disciple nervously reminds him that the late master forbade anyone from ever unsealing the soul-dementing sword resting here. The Xuanwu master snaps at him to stop the nonsense and open it, and the disciple warns that those were his words, so do not regret it. The seal erupts on its own, and a baffled voice protests that he had not even done anything yet. As the graveyard rages, they realize the magic weapon sealed in this place is far more dangerous than anyone imagined. The master only laughs, telling Linger this is just the beginning, that once the Qingshan gate is wiped out, gods and demons alike will kneel beneath his feet. He warns her never once to doubt the scale of his ambition. His plan is simple and vicious. He will use one magic weapon to defeat another. His disciples pace and pray that master can pull this off. There are less than 4 hours until the decisive duel with the Quanah sect. They fret that a fight this big always spills on immortals. Anyone caught near that raw spiritual power is in real danger. One brush of it, and an ordinary person drops dead on the spot. Meanwhile, a cheerful vendor waves everyone over, bragging he has found the perfect spot to watch the big match. The crowd swarms him for binoculars, shouting, "Master you, I want one," as he rents them out by the gold coin. Down on the battlefield, Ning Xuanwu sneers at his rival Lu Qingshan for daring to show his face. He did not expect Lu Qingshan to have a nerve to come. Today, he warns, who lives and who dies is far from certain. The watching crowd gasps and leans in, breath held. Lu Qingshan admits to himself that his realm is hopelessly far behind Ning Xuanwu's. If he had not broken through to Martial King after reading Master Yi's picture book, He could not even stand in this fight. Now all he can do is pin his last hope on one thing. Ning Xuanwu barks that he knows exactly what Lu Qingshan is up to and demands he reveal his magic weapon. Lu Qingshan freezes in a cold sweat, panicking over how the man could possibly know. Ning Xuanwu vows he will never let the sneak attack land. Steel clashes, and Ning Xuanwu unleashes his dreaded Soul Eater sword. The Soul Eater sword burns decades of its wielder's life to devour the power of any weapon below a holy object, reducing it to a plain kitchen knife. Bracing himself, Lu Qingshan finally draws his own weapon. The whole crowd bursts out laughing. It really is an actual kitchen knife. They howl that the dignified ancestor of Qingshan has turned into a fool swinging a pig-butchering blade at a Soul Eater sword. Ning Xuanwu taunts him to come show off just how mighty that broken kitchen knife really is. Lu Qingshan feels his momentum crumble, then reminds himself this knife was borrowed from Master Yi himself. From up on the hill, Master Yi suddenly shouts for him to hang in there. "How, Master," he cries, "can you possibly give up so easily?" The vendor grumbles that if the fight ends this fast, all those rented binoculars were made for nothing. Lu Qingshan is stunned to realize Master Yi brought this entire crowd all the way here just to cheer him on. Such supreme encouragement fills him with shame for having nearly insulted the honor of this humble knife. His eyes blaze back to life. He knows exactly what to do now. Ning Xuanwu jeers, asking if he is planning to slice open a few tin cans. Lu Qingshan roars for him to bring it on. He charges in silence, the plain blade raised high. The ordinary kitchen knife swings down, and Ning Xuanwu barely has time to wonder why. A wave of disbelief ripples through everyone watching. In a single strike, that broken kitchen knife shatters the Soul Eater sword clean apart. To be continued. The battlefield falls silent as the two sects freeze mid-clash, every eye drifting to the one man who has not lifted a single finger. Master Zhu seizes the moment and roars at his men to take advantage, wipe out the Xuanwu sect, and drive them back to their lair this very day. His disciples snap to attention with a sharp yes, Master Zhu. But before the slaughter can begin, a single command cuts through the chaos. Do not strike them down. His followers freeze in disbelief and protest that this is the perfect chance to destroy the Xuanwu sect once and for all. Lu Qingshan tells Lan Shui to look closer, since Master Yi simply stood and watched in silence, and pressing the attack now would surely displease him. He wonders aloud why a man so indifferent to fame and fortune would lend him this artifact. Then the answer dawns on him. Master Yi wants neither side destroyed. What the senior truly desires is balance, keeping both sects in check to protect the peace of the common people. Such a mind and heart, he declares, is worthy of their lifelong respect, as radiant light seems to spill across the earth. Next to a man like that, they feel as small and insignificant as ants. The fighters lower their weapons and murmur in confusion. Is this really over already? The crowd of cultivators simply shrugs and wanders off, one heading home to plow his field, another leaving to breastfeed a baby, while a straggler insists the real showdown between Godzilla and King Kong is about to begin. A watching merchant grumbles that the fighters below could not hold out a little longer. If nobody keeps brawling, he complains, how is he supposed to sell all the goods he stocked up, which only makes things harder for the poorer families? The dust settles and the mountain empties out, the story drifting away from the battlefield. Elsewhere, a young woman named Peng Ying is startled to spot Feng here. She teases whether he has come to meet his childhood sweetheart today. He says nothing, and she quickly insists he has misunderstood. She is only here on her master's orders, sent to find a man of high repute. She softens, calling him a good person before gently turning him down. A senior, she explains, helped her join the Qingshan sect, something her qualifications could never have earned on their own. Entering the Qingshan gate to learn martial arts has always been her dream, so she promised that senior she would never associate with other men again. With that, she says goodbye and asks that they never meet again in the future. Up the mountain, her senior brother Yu demands to know if she found the expert, and she admits there was only a single mortal. He erupts, accusing her of playing around with other men and breaking her promise, while she pleads that he alone holds her heart and begs to explain. Yu sneers that the man is just a cheap martial arts hall owner who daydreams all day and scribbles worthless, nonsensical martial arts secrets. How could such a nobody ever compare to him? If not for sheer coincidence, he adds, he would not waste a moment caring about the man at all. Alone, Yu fumes that the stupid woman is useless at finding anyone, and that if not for her looks, even ghosts would ignore her. He curses that damned expert for getting in his way. He cannot accept it. How could Ning Xuanwu, who slaughtered an entire sword family single-handedly, possibly lose? He needs to act fast before the Xuanwu sect master recovers from his injuries and turns his fury on him. Then it hits him. Books, a martial arts hall. He recalls that Lao Lanxue bought a martial arts manual from a certain hall in Jiangping, the very book that helped Lu Qingshan break through. Could it really be the source of their power? He presses Yinger to confirm that the man owns a martial arts hall and spends his days writing books. She nods that yes, it is true, but insists he is only a mortal, and Yu bursts into delighted, scheming laughter. If the man truly is a hidden expert, Yu reasons he can simply sit back and watch the Xuanwu sect fight him instead. And if he is nothing but a mortal, all the better. Yu decides to make him a scapegoat, the perfect object for the Xuanwu sect to vent their anger, telling himself the poor man deserves this cruel fate. The trap is set, and the powerless bookseller has no idea he has just become the target of every scheme on the mountain. In a lavish estate, a powerful cultivator is fuming, roaring that he is absolutely furious. He turns on his kneeling subordinate Yu Wujia, snapping that the man found nothing, yet still dragged himself back to the door empty-handed. Yu Wujia scrambles to report a lead. The one who armed Lu Qingshan runs a martial arts gym over in Jiangping City. The master scoffs, insisting no high-level expert could hide in that city without him knowing. A subordinate named Linger offers to investigate, but he waves it off, saying he has other plans. He has already chosen his weapon for the job, Wu Chun. Restrictions are usually kept on him, but now is exactly the time he is needed. A chained, sinister figure stirs in the dark, ready to be unleashed on Jiangping. Across town, a very different scene. The humble sign of the Feng martial arts gym. A worried servant hovers outside a shut door, muttering that the boss has not come out in 3 days. That woman must have really broken his heart. He peeks into the wrecked, cluttered room and decides the boss is drowning in heartbreak, too lovesick to face the world. The loyal servant, Chong Qing, vows he will never let his boss fall apart, and blurts out that he might actually be able to help. Yifeng finally looks up, baffled. He was about to hand the guy a barbecue, and instead, the servant wants to work. He does not look heartbroken at all. Chong Qing catches himself, telling his boss to wait, that it is still too early to say. He gingerly asks about the boss's lost love. Yifeng blinks and says he means Peng Ying, who is just his childhood friend, nothing more. Yifeng declares flatly that women only slow down the speed at which he makes money, and worse, the speed at which he can grill barbecue. He shoves a stack of his hand-drawn picture books at the servant, ordering him to go sell them so they can afford a new carriage next month. Now get to work. Chong Qing flips through the bizarre titles. The story of 4 monsters and a man. The story of 3 women and 105 men. Tales of men from 3 nations. He has no idea these doodles hide god-tier martial secrets. He wonders aloud whether such strange little books could ever really sell, then shrugs and agrees to try. Meanwhile, far outside town, a grim scene is unfolding. In the suburbs of Jiangping City, a terrified man crawls in the dirt, begging for someone, anyone, to help him. A cruel voice sneers down at him. Idiot! Even if the king of heaven himself came, no one could save him now. The evil cultivator licks his lips, saying that as long as the taste is good, a meal can fill the stomach. He muses that he only hopes the man running the martial arts gym can finally satisfy his appetite. An old traveler appears on the road and gently advises him that young people ought to be forgiving, warning him not to go to Jiangping. The old man says he, too, is headed there to visit an old acquaintance. The elder tells him firmly that he is not allowed to run wild in that city. The cultivator snaps at the old man to shut his mouth, then screams die and hurls a killing blow. The old man's eyes widen in shock. This brat holds a realm above Martial King. The blow lands, dust and power erupting across the road. As the smoke clears, the old man freezes, staring at whatever the kid just pulled out to survive. It is a sacred stone. He gasps that if such a treasure of the emperor has fallen into an evil cultivator's hands, a small place like Jiangping is surely doomed to suffer. The cultivator smirks, thinking that fortunately he carried this treasure, or that last strike would have killed him. He gloats that he has already slaughtered every other martial arts gym, and this next one should be the very last. Turning toward the Feng gym, he grins and challenges it to show him what it is truly capable of. Neither of them knows the deadpan mortal waiting inside is about to become a legend. A sect master shows off the sacred stone, an evil relic the Xuanwu sect's founding ancestor once used to slay immortals. He boasts that even against attacks from the higher realms, it can turn the odds in your favor. He tells his disciple there is nothing to worry about. They only need to wait for their agent Wu Chun to bring back good news. Wu Chun arrives at Feng's shabby martial arts hall and sneers. The gym does not even have a name. He scoffs, calling the whole place garbage. Clutching the sacred stone, he struts inside like he owns the place, ready to tear it all apart. He steps over the threshold without a second glance, cracking the broken plaque, and cheerfully wonders where to start destroying next. In his mind, there is no other outcome here. Under his power, everything ends only one way: crushed. Then he freezes. Something in the air stops him cold. A monstrous pressure slams down on him, and his face twists in shock. Panicking, he clings to the sacred stone, reassuring himself that with this treasure he can handle absolutely anything. But the pressure is far too much, and before he could do a thing, it all goes wrong for him. Later, someone spots the sacred stone lying on the ground. They pick it up, admiring how beautiful the strange stone is. Turning it over in their hands, they decide it will make a handy little tool. They wedge the priceless sacred stone into a broken spot to patch it, delighted that the size is just right. The god-tier relic gets casually mortared into place like a common brick. Elsewhere, an old man plays chess with Feng and admits that at first he thought they were equals, but the closer he looks, the less he can see through him. Feng inwardly groans that this old man is back again. He drily replies that of course the old man cannot read him, since he is the one who taught him this chess. The old man marvels that after so many visits, he still cannot sense Feng's true cultivation. He knows the continent holds countless secret techniques. He convinces himself it is no exaggeration, that a master this hidden could never stay unknown, and nervously asks whether Feng is truly stronger than him. Feng, thoroughly bored, just tells him it is his turn to move. The old man suddenly spots the sacred stone jammed into the wall. He gasps that such a priceless treasure is being used as mere filler, and wonders if the evil intruder was executed on the spot by Brother E. To him, even the patched threshold seems to be sending a message. Feng casually notes he can pull the stone out any time, then politely thanks the old man for letting him win. The old man reels. Anyone with cultivation would know the stone's value, yet Feng tramples it like trash. Between the scheming and the chess, this is a whole different level of competition. Feng waves him over, asking the old man to come take a look at something. The old man leans in, then jolts in alarm as Feng casually mutters an oops. Feng complains that his back is itchy and asks the old man to scratch it for him, using the man's prized rake. He glances at the seven-tooth holy rake, declares it rusty, and tells him to throw it out, adding it must be a real pain to do farm work with. The old man realizes the truth. Feng has been losing at chess on purpose, again and again, just to get his farm tools repaired. He is stunned that this guy insulted the artifact he is so proud of. Refusing to back down, the old man declares that since Feng looks down on his seven-tooth holy rake this much, he wants to see what treasure Feng could possibly produce to match it. Inside his shabby forging house, Feng hears that the old cook who once borrowed a kitchen knife has come back to pay his respects. He waves it off and says, "Let them in. He'll come out as soon as he finishes hammering the farm tools." A nervous young disciple whispers that surely no one important could live in a dump like this. His master snaps at him to swallow his attitude and behave in front of a real expert. The master reminds him they all witnessed the terrifying power of that knife, and if master he ends up unhappy, the consequences will be disastrous. The disciple mutters that he's blowing it way out of proportion. They step through the door and freeze mid-breath. Propped up like a piece of junk is what looks unmistakably like a legendary sect founder's weapon. And it isn't displayed with reverence at all. The priceless relic has simply been jammed into the wall to mend a broken threshold. The disciple yelps and scrambles after his master, begging him to slow down and wait for him. He whispers that something is deeply wrong with this shopkeeper's origins, and they should just leave now. The master hisses back that he's talking nonsense and orders him to keep his eyes open and look properly. Then they both look up and their jaws drop. Coiled right there in the yard is an actual dragon. The master tells himself these are small scenes, and there's no need to panic, even though he is obviously the most rattled person in the room. He stares harder, refusing to believe it, wondering if his own eyes have somehow been blinded. The disciple gasps that it's genuine. The fabled seven-tooth holy rake, the very weapon legend says the nine heavens' profound goddess used to wipe out demons. They realize the shop owner radiates the exact same martial intent as the rake, so the sacred weapon must be his. Anyone who can wield a holy weapon, they murmur, stands at least above the martial emperor realm. The master suddenly recognizes the face. This man resembles the madman who once slaughtered the 6 towns of Xinjiang. Though that killer vanished 30 years ago, so surely it can't be such a coincidence. A cheerful girl bounces over and asks if they've come to find Brother E, inviting them in for a cup of tea. When they stammer yes, she blinks in surprise that he actually agreed to see them. A disciple pleads that they should just hand over the knife and their gift to the expert and get out. His master grimly answers that it's already far too late for that. Something erupts across the workshop and they flinch back in terror, unable to even finish their sentence. Meanwhile, completely oblivious to the panic, Feng wipes his brow and sighs that his work is finally finished. He turns the tool over admiringly, grinning that it turned out great and the whole thing feels really good. The visitors spiral. Just who on earth is this man? And why is he now walking straight toward them? The disciple frantically asks his master what they should do. The master tells everyone not to panic and to simply watch that man closely. They marvel that even after witnessing such a spectacular, world-shaking scene, the man's heart remains as still as calm water. To them, Feng has just casually reforged a broken holy weapon into a true holy weapon, and the old man realizes how utterly ridiculous all his earlier posturing and comparisons had been. Feng says it isn't free, but he'll happily knock off 50%. The old man protests that, even at half price, he could never afford a genuine holy weapon. He explains he already burned his entire fortune and lost half his lifespan just to obtain that slightly damaged rake. So there's no way he can accept it today. Feng just shrugs that it's only a rake, and if the old man is short on money, he can simply have it for free. Stunned, the old man cries out to Brother E, then hastily corrects himself to the respectful Mr. E. Feng adds that he can just pay whenever he has more coins someday, while internally screaming that he only fixed the man's farm tool and has absolutely no idea what is happening. The old man, Wu Yonghong, drops to the ground and swears on his very life to serve, confirming he truly is one of the 4 madmen who slaughtered the 6 towns of Xinjiang. He vows aloud in the name of heaven and earth, swearing that if he ever violates this oath, he will be utterly destroyed. The old cultivator just stands there, jaw dropped, unable to process what he witnessed. A stunned disciple turns to his master and asks what the vows of heaven and earth even are. The master explains this vow is a contract only a martial emperor can sign. With heaven and earth as witness, once sealed, it can never be broken. The disciples go pale, realizing how terrifying Mr. Yi's cultivation must be for a monster like this to swear an absolute oath to him. The old man declares the contract is established, and no matter what Mr. Yi asks, he will do it without question. He insists the deal is already signed and swears to repay the kindness, promising that though the mountains may not change, his gratitude will flow on forever. With that, he vows they will surely meet again someday. Feng watches him leave and thinks to himself, what a stupid middle-aged old man. He turns to the two nervous visitors still waiting and asks what exactly they came here for. They hold out an offering, presenting it to him with careful, trembling hands. Spotting it, Feng says they came to give a gift and calls them far too polite. He picks up the glowing orb and casually praises the workmanship on a glass ball. The visitors are horrified he called their Qingshan treasure, the flame orb, a mere trinket. He notes it feels warm and figures it would make a fine hand warmer come winter. They are thrilled he likes it, yet feel a small ache in their hearts. To return the courtesy, Feng hands them a new novel he just finished writing. The instant they open it, they sense the pages are brimming with pure martial arts intent. They realize this is exactly the kind of book that promoted their master to a higher realm. Bowing deeply, they thank Mr. E and excuse themselves, saying the farmhouse keeps them busy. Outside, one of them named Zhu Yun snatches the book, certain that with it he can break through on the spot. Feng watches them scramble off and wonders if these two might just be his very first fans. His servant Zhongqing announces the carriage is ready, insisting that since the boss is heading out, only the finest ride will do. Feng grumbles about there being another poor soul out there just like him, then decides that when he returns he might come back a billionaire. Zhongqing panics and begs to know the plan. He climbs aboard in silence, a quiet confidence settling over him. He simply tells his servant he will find out when he gets back. The carriage rolls out, carrying him off toward whatever fortune awaits. Back at Qingshan Gate, tempers flare over the book. One warns the pure martial intent inside is far too profound to grasp, snapping that these waters run deep. The other fires back that no one could have guessed a true great power was hiding in such a tiny backwater city. A bewildered disciple finally asks what any of this has to do with their senior. Boss Mao broods that his finances are beyond saving, and if this next deal falls through they are all finished. The world spins on, he sighs, with yet another poor soul scraping by in it. Some time passes. At the chamber, a clerk greets Feng warmly and asks if he is here again. He laughs and says yes, and the clerk tells him Boss Mao wants him in the guest room. Inside, a servant pours a cup and invites Master E to have some tea. Mao gushes that he read Yi's novel, and it was wonderful, especially the Stardust versus Taurus part. He thinks to himself that he does not even remember writing that, and wonders if Mao actually read it all. Then Mao's smile curdles. He complains he has a whole chamber of hungry mouths pointing at him to feed, that printing silly little fairy tales just does not pay off, and it all gives him a headache. Being a blunt man, he offers E some money to go peddle his picture books somewhere else. Mao softens the blow, telling E that since he once saved his life, he will absolutely help him however he can. As he is shown out, Mao calls after him sweetly to come and sit again next time. The moment E is gone, Mao sneers that those shitty little books are nothing more than a worthless piece of junk. The reader knows they secretly hold God-tier martial intent. A young woman steps in and asks her father who that person just was. Mao startles and asks Yona why she is here. Yona presses him. He promised to introduce her to the author of Dream of Red Mansions. So why has there been no news? Was that him just now? Mao inwardly frets that she is getting addicted to this stuff and not learning business at all. Mao declares that author will not be publishing here anymore. When Yona protests that Dream of Red Mansions earned the Chamber of Fortune, he brushes it off as a drop in the bucket, calls the man a poor peasant he pitied, and tells her to learn business from the elders. She snaps that she does not like business at all. Yona argues that even if she did take up business, her reading would not get in the way of it. Enraged, Mao orders his men to take her away. With the fierce competition against the Feng chamber, he says hand her the last few days of accounts, and do not let her out until she has checked every single one. Yona is dragged off crying for her dad. Meanwhile, Feng trudges off with a heavy sigh, muttering that life really is not easy for anyone. Suddenly, two familiar faces spot him and call out, asking Mr. why he is here. He blinks at the youngsters. They realize his book was rejected by the Pingjiang Chamber and marvel that he secretly wrote all the popular novels in the city. Their uncle, they add, sent them to deliver a basket of fruit to him. The younger brother pipes up, saying that speaking of novels, his sister has been enjoying reading them lately, and she even said. His sister cuts him off with a sharp shut-up. He yelps that it hurts as she twists his ear, swearing he will never let her admiration for Yi's literary talent get in the way. The boy reels, groaning about his eyes. Flustered as the teasing about her acting up flares again, the sister recovers. He gladly accepts the gift, and the youngsters urge him to eat as much as he likes. The sister marvels inwardly that she never expected Master Yi himself to be the author. She is moved, thinking she never imagined such a delicate yet firm heart, that family duty, sect affairs, and love for his disciple could all come together in one person. She is wildly overreading his simple doodles. She grins to herself. If that is how it is, she thinks, why not do something nice for him? She tells Mr. E she has a way to get his book published and asks him to come with her. Stunned, he stammers that she really can publish his books. She boasts that her father is the chairman of the Baofeng Chamber of Commerce, so getting a book published is a matter of minutes. Her brother nods that Master E is so plain and worldly, he has always hidden his identity, which is exactly why he ran into such trouble. But she adds one small condition. Give her, Sister Shui, a kiss, she says, and she will get his book published. How about it? He just stares back, utterly baffled by the demand. To be continued. High above the city, two cultivators float on the wind, cackling at the mortals scrambling below. They sneer that the ordinary folk of this town are nothing but comfortable salted fish. One of them sighs that they have searched forever and still found no clue about their missing brother Wuchen. He suggests they stop wasting time and simply head back. His companion frowns, uneasy. He warns that the old master surely has another move waiting in store for them. Across town at the Pingjiang Chamber of Commerce, the mood is grim. A city can crown only one first-class chamber, and thanks to a certain picture book their rival Baofeng has pulled revenue 20% ahead this month, reputation climbing with it. An aide warns that if they do not find a way to suppress Baofeng, the coveted first-class title will slip into someone else's hands. The chairman sees that one careless moment cost him a golden opportunity, snatched up by Baofeng. He is certain that old thief Yin Xiong is laughing at him this very moment. An aide reminds him the book's author once came to propose a publishing partnership, and the chairman personally turned the man away. He adds, carefully, that if they lose the first-class election over this blunder, the chairman's own seat may be at risk. The chairman bristles at the veiled threat, then composes himself. He declares that as head of the chamber, he has his own ways to fix things. He barks an order to prepare a gift. Everyone is to follow him at once to pay a visit to the mysterious Mr. E. Meanwhile, our supposed Grandmaster Feng is broke as ever. His helper asks if selling the book means they finally get to eat meat, and Feng says he is busy figuring out how to make tofu taste like meat instead. Feng muses that with the book, now published, a little money should be coming. Surely, he thinks, the buyers cannot be stingier than the Pingjiang Chamber, unless he is the one being taken for a fool. Right on cue, a visitor arrives. The butler of the Yin family announces he has come from the Baofeng Chamber of Commerce to see the esteemed Mr. E. Feng, mid-lesson, lectures his helper Zhong Qing that cooking is not about ingredients but about ideas. That, he insists grandly, is what cooking is all about. He turns to the butler and beams that the guest has arrived just in time, since he was about to start cooking anyway. Then Feng demands a money. If there's no money box, he says there should at least be a money plate, a money bag, a money string. The butler panics. Terrified Mr. E is scolding him for arriving too late. The butler hastily produces an exclusive deposit card the chamber prepared just for him, insisting Mr. E forgive the oversight. He reveals the card already holds 100,000 gold coins from last month's book sales alone. Yi Feng Fidizis. 100,000. For him, struggling to hold his poker face, Yi Feng nearly chokes. The butler adds that every single month from now on the chamber will deposit the book sales straight onto this card. The butler reads, Yi Feng stunned, subtle expression completely wrong. He assumes the Grand Master is unimpressed and nervously asks whether it is too little. The butler decides to hurry back and report Mr. Yi's cool, unreadable attitude to his chairman. Yi Feng, barely holding it together, waves him off and tells him to come play sometime. The instant the door shuts, Yi Feng loses it, kissing the card and screaming that 100,000 is only a single month's income. He is overwhelmed, finally tasting the joy of the rich, and practically wants to throw a dance party. Later, at 5 in the afternoon, another carriage rolls up to Yi Feng's humble door. Yi Feng blinks in disbelief. How on earth is the chairman himself here to visit his little place? The Pingjiang chairman bows low, apologizing for arriving unannounced. He says he only wishes to make amends for the last time, and presents a full 1,000 gold coins. He presses the point, certain this offer will move him. A whole year's income for an ordinary person, he says, so how could Mr. E not be impressed? Yi Feng, unmoved, tells the chairman to just say what he wants directly. Inwardly, he grumbles that this scheming old man is up to something, and there is no way he will trust him. The chairman spins a grand pitch about the age of cultural renaissance, insisting a big business cannot rest on its laurels and must chase new trends. So, he offers, the chamber will spare no effort helping Mr. E publish his books. He backpedals on his old insult, claiming he once said publishing held no benefit, and now begs Mr. E not to take his foolish nonsense to heart, since surely such a great man is not a stingy person. Yi Feng calmly replies that he took those words very much to heart, and then he declares flatly that he, Yi Feng, absolutely is a stingy person. The chairman's smile cracks. He warns Mr. E to speak more agreeably, sneering that without their cooperation, who knows what pitiful price his book will fetch. Yi Feng simply tells him to leave if he has nothing worthwhile to say. Suddenly the chairman folds, insisting he meant no offense and is just bad with words. He asks meekly how much cooperation would actually cost. Losing patience, the chairman drops the act and names his final price. 10,000 gold, an amount he swears an ordinary man could not earn in 10 years. If that is not enough, he scoffs. Then Mr. Yi's appetite is simply too greedy. Yi Feng repeats it slowly to himself. 10,000 gold coins. Is that supposed to be a lot? He nearly laughs. It is nothing. Just this morning the Baofeng chamber happily handed him a top-tier deposit card, and the minimum balance on that card alone was 100,000 gold. Utterly unimpressed, Yi Feng calmly orders his helper to see the guest off. The chairman is left stunned and speechless. Once the old schemer is gone, Yi Feng finally cracks up, cackling at how unbelievably good it feels to turn the tables. So cool, he crows, so cool. Back on the Sex Mountain, a disciple reports to the master. Their scouts combed the entire city and found no trace of elder brother Wu Chun, and something is clearly very wrong. The master's gaze sharpens. He demands to know where Wu Feng is. Wu Feng steps forward and kneels. The disciple, he says, is here and ready. The master orders him down the mountain to locate Wu Chun, reunite with him, and return with a full report. He asks pointedly whether anything could possibly go wrong. With his cloak of swiftness, no one can match Wu Feng's speed. Even those who sense his movements can never catch his true form, and no one alive can lay a finger on him. He vanishes down the slope, straight toward Yi Feng's city. Yi Feng heads off to a celebration party, cheerfully leaving his loyal guard dog Wang Kai behind to watch the house. The problem is that this dog is actually the heaven-devouring demon wolf, who grumbles that only his injuries have left him trapped in such a pathetic form. He frets that his careless mortal owner might decide any day now to toss him into a dog-hot pot. So the fearsome demon wolf plasters on a cutesy grin, wags along, and barks out a desperate good boy. Love you. Inside, he is screaming that he really wants to escape, admitting he has followed this man for a very long time. But with Feng's monstrous divine weapon paintings hanging here, he knows almost no one in the world could ever harm this place, and yet he is the one stuck guarding it. He sighs that the whole arrangement is truly confusing for dogs. Suddenly, a monstrous pressure rolls in, and the wolf feels a terrifyingly powerful force closing on the house. A cold voice sneers about an insolent mortal daring to exist. Intruders have tracked down the city's last martial arts gym, sensing the fading traces of Brother Wu Chun and wondering aloud if he is already dead. They decide the person they are hunting is here and vow to completely destroy the place. The lead villain laughs that today he will kill everyone and leave no one alive, while the demon wolf whimpers that in his current weakened state he cannot beat him. Then the martial intent soaked into the paintings erupts. In a blink, the arrogant intruder is utterly obliterated. The dazed dog mutters that he is not sure this was a good idea, but figures it is not really a problem. Then he freezes, staring in absolute disbelief at what just happened. Trembling all over, he yelps that he was so scared. He finally understands that the senior's cultivation has reached the realm of a martial god, something far beyond his own prying eyes. He convinces himself Feng left him here on purpose, to heal on martial intent and refine his mind through endless humiliation. Declaring that remorse is useless, he resolves to be a very good dog from now on. He decides guarding the senior's door is the greatest opportunity of his dog life, and goes completely dogged. Elsewhere, the boffing Chamber of Commerce gathers for its ranking, praising Mr. E as a blessing whose reputation alone earns them huge points. The chairman recalls that Mr. E seemed reluctant to accept even 100,000 gold coin share, so he wants to increase E's cut to avoid any mistake. He proposes the chamber keep only 10% above cost and hand every other share to Mr. E. The rest of the room nods in agreement. In a shop across town, a customer notes there is still no trace of Wu Chun, and the man sent to the martial arts gym has not returned. Fearing that Ning Xuanwu will be furious with him, he orders the clerk to wrap all of it up. The clerk totals it at 103 tools, offers a round 100, and asks whether he will pay in cash or check. The buyer snaps that a mere mortal dares to overcharge him and threatens the clerk's hand. He barely gets out of shock you before he is cut off. Luo Lanchua coldly asks Feng if he still did not understand her from last time, saying it is best if the two of them never see each other again. Feng grumbles to himself that this person is really pissing him off. To Brother Wu Jie, Luo Lanchua insists she could never look at a lowly, poor mortal like him, and would rather die than have anything to do with him. Wu Jie says there is no need to explain, and moves to just kill E directly. A bystander warns the fool that provoking Mr. Yi's wrath could wipe out the entire Qingshan sect, while another gushes that this lady is impossibly cool. Someone gasps to see Luo Lanchua herself here, as a sudden cry of pain rings out. A calm voice simply asks, "Is that so?" Luo Lanchua cries out for Brother Wu Jie. A trembling man bows to Mr. E, apologizing for having startled him. He thanks E for arriving in time and saving him from disaster. The onlookers are utterly baffled, asking what on earth is going on. They cannot grasp why the personal disciple of the Qingshan master would be so respectful to a mere mortal like Feng, and even fight on his behalf. The disciple demands the offender's name, promising the chairman will give a satisfactory answer. Pong Ying is told her qualifications were never enough for Qingshan's sect, and that from today, she is expelled. Stunned, she asks if this is all because of that mortally Feng. She is warned that if she ever provokes Mr. E again in Qingshan's name, her entire existence will be erased from the world. Desperate, she swears she has to find out what the hell is really going on. High on its lonely peak, the Xuanwu sect broods over troubling news. A disciple admits they assumed the so-called expert in Jumping City was just a bluff staged by the Qingshan sect. So they sent senior brothers Wuchen and Wufeng to investigate. Now he fears that was a careless move. After all, the magic weapon old Qingshan suddenly revealed was genuinely extraordinary. If a real master is truly backing him, the two hot-blooded brothers would surely charge in to kill him. And whoever could forge such a divine weapon, how could Jing Wuchen and Jing Wufeng alone ever hope to be his match? A disciple volunteers to slip down the mountain herself and dig out the truth, and the others warn her to be careful. Down in the crowded city, the disguised disciple Yao Linger flags down a waiter at a busy inn. The waiter bows and asks how he can help his dear guest. She leans in and asks about the man who both writes books and runs a martial arts gym, wanting to know exactly who he is. The waiter grins that such information is not easy to come by, and it certainly is not free. Once paid, he reveals the name is Feng and offers to show the way. She freezes and demands he say it again. The name lands on her like a thunderclap. Meanwhile, Feng cheerfully tells his dog Wang Kai to look at the treat he brought home and sets it down to enjoy. The dog wolfs it down in the most undignified way, barking happily. Then Feng notices it, a single gnawed bone, all that is left of Wufeng. He sighs that the mutt left one bone out for him to admire, and asks if it is expecting to be praised. The terrified dog convinces itself the senior knew about yesterday and staged the whole scene on purpose, a warning of what happens if it disobeys. Later the dog nudges a strange scrap forward, asking the boss to take a look at it. Feng shrugs that it makes a fine rag, telling it to wipe down the long-neglected dust and not to miss the pillars and plaques outside. He has no idea it is a priceless treasure. The dog decides that compared to demolishing the house, dragging in garbage is a minor sin, and marvels that it has finally grasped the senior's true intentions. Eyeing the leftover bone, Feng decides it would be a waste to simply throw it away. So he flings it for the dog like a chew toy, cheering it on. Just then he spots a girl lingering at his door and wonders what could be wrong with her. She suddenly doubles over coughing, and he hurries over to ask if she is all right. He invites her in to sit and offers to check her pulse, since he knows a little medicine and has herbs ready at home, but she waves him off, insisting she is fine and will not trouble him. He then decides he understands. She was trying to pry the bone from the dog's mouth because it belongs to her family, and seeing only one left, she coughed up blood and grief. Inwardly, she panics that he saw right through her, certain this man is a devil. He muses that only bones are left, so he cannot repay her, and asks the going market price, adding that wrongdoing must be paid for, so he will note the debt down for her. She only thinks she must not let this drag on. As she flees, she marvels that with a single glance he pierced her disguised martial spirit and forced her chi and blood to slam into her heart. She concludes the senior's mind is unfathomably deep and his cultivation impossibly high. Back atop the mountain, Yao Linger reports there truly is an expert in jumping city, and both brothers have been killed by him. The master reels at the words. He orders Yao Linger to recount everything she found, word by word, in full detail. She reveals Wuchen has no bones left at all, and though Wufeng's divine cultivation preserved a single bone, that man used it as a pet's chew toy. The master sees that such a tactic is meant to make Ning Xuanyu tremble while the whole world laughs at him. He demands news of his two treasures, and a disciple confesses the heaven-devouring stone was used to patch a staircase, and as for the swift cloak, it was used as a rag to wipe the dust, while the disciples beg the master to calm himself. Instead, he bursts out laughing that this man is more ruthless than even Ning Xuanyu himself, and demands to hear more. Yao Linger explains the expert saw through her flawless disguise, yet spared her, sending her back with a message. Do wrong, and you pay the price, for he has already written down this account. The master vows to slaughter this man personally and avenge Wufeng and Wuchen, ordering every master of Xuanwu down the mountain and demanding the two great treasures be reclaimed. And so an entire sect mobilizes for war against a man who, at this very moment, is happily playing fetch with his dog, utterly unaware that any of it is happening. The Xuanwu sect master hands his disciple a mission. Slip into that martial arts gym, learn everything inside, and above all, uncover who its master really is. He warns that he cannot even see through the man's strength, and that this is no simple opponent, the kind who could catch you in a single breath. The gym itself reeks of murderous intent. The master says, so the disciple must not show a trace of hostility. Slip up, and he will meet the same fate as brothers Wu Chun and Wu Feng. The master drills it in one more time. Remember this well. Then a colder thought strikes him. That terrifying blade in Lu Qingshan's hand may also have been forged by this very man. If that is true, the master reasons his real power must reach far beyond the realm of a martial king. The disciple swallows hard and asks a careful question. What happens if he actually makes it back alive? The master promises that if he returns, he will be promoted straight to direct disciple, free to pick any elder in the sect as his own master. At the gym, the young helper is already hard at work, cheerfully vowing to clean the whole place and serve Mr. E. Feng marvels at how obedient this child is, then asks him to take down the 18 paintings in the front hall and dry them in the sun. He adds that the paintings should be spread out in the yard so the wind cannot blow them away, and the boy happily answers, yes, boss. When a visitor calls, the boy insists Feng should just lie down and rest since the gym has been out of business a while, and offers to go check who it is himself. The Xuanwu scout steps in and sizes the place up. This martial arts gym looks completely normal, no different from any ordinary one, maybe even worse than the rest. Yet the instant something startles him, he flips his own logic and decides this brother must secretly be a martial arts genius. Trying to sound casual, the scout asks for directions, then blurts out the worst possible words. Xuanwu sect. How do I get there? He panics instantly, realizing he just named the very sect that is already at odds with this man. Now he is sure he will share the doom of those two fallen brothers, and lets out a strangled cry of terror. A heavy silence hangs in the air as the scout braces himself for the killing blow he is certain is coming. But Feng, completely oblivious, just gives directions. Head out, turn right, keep going, and you are there. Feng only sighs to himself, unable to believe the man really did just come to ask for the way. The scout refuses to accept it, clinging to the theories of senior sister Yao Linger and his master, even as Feng's eyes look more and more like those of an ordinary mortal. To test him, the scout throws out a barb about how deserted the place is and how few apprentices a man like this must have. He reasons that a true master would react to such sarcasm, and that no response at all would prove this man is really no expert. He pushes harder, sneering that Feng should just turn the gym into a restaurant, since that would at least draw more people than it does now. Sure enough, the scout thinks, certain his taunt has finally provoked the hidden grandmaster into showing his true face. But Feng only shakes his head and mutters how pitiful it is to be this foolish at such a young age. The scout, still convinced every calm word is a veiled threat, is left completely rattled by the harmless old man in front of him. A cluster of strange visitors files up to Feng's little gym, asking if they are disturbing him. He waves them inside without a second thought. One of the ancestral masters sneers at the sight of him. How can a mortal with no cultivation be worthy of inviting elders like them inside? And where is this signboard of pure martial intent they were promised? Their guide snaps at his brother to watch his mouth after all the trouble it took to bring them here. Another elder groans that they are over 1,000 years old and still bickering like children. Then one of them freezes and points at the floor. Is that a heaven-shattering stone just lying there? They gasp that it is at least an imperial-grade treasure, something even ancestral masters guard with their lives, and Feng is using it to weigh down a pile of rocks. This trip is already worth it. Their eyes lock onto a scrap of cloth nearby. That, too, is an imperial-grade relic. They whisper, worth enough to buy whole mountains and found an entire sect. They breathlessly ask where he found such incredible treasures. Feng just shrugs and calls an old rag. It looks shabby, he explains, so he uses it to wipe down the gym. The masters nearly short-circuit at the answer. Cheerfully oblivious, Feng holds up one more of his cheap little items. This is the last one, he says. He asks what they think of it, expecting maybe a polite nod. The elders stare like he just unveiled a legendary artifact. Feng wonders why these old men are so worked up. He figures their scary faces must have gotten them rejected too many times before. He warns them the gym is messy from cleaning and invites them to sit in the front hall instead. He tells them his disciple will boil water for tea, then heads off to fetch the chess pieces, telling the guests to help themselves. The moment they settle in, the masters buckle under a crushing pressure. Such overwhelming martial intent, they marvel. None of them has ever felt anything like it. A martial saint, one of them decides. No, he must be an immortal warlord for them to be graced with his presence. That explains why they cannot see through his cultivation at all. Laughing in awe, they conclude he is an immortal from the upper world. But the martial intent is too much to bear. One cries that he will go crazy if he sits any longer, and another admits he cannot hold out either. What a pity, one sighs as they stagger back. Do not be greedy, another scolds. This is already a tremendous opportunity. Feng comes back to find the whole group huddled outside the door and asks what they're doing out there. They insist they arrived in a rush with their feet still caked in mud, so it is better if they stay outside. Yes, they all agree. He shrugs and lets them be, figuring they're just honest folk who make their living farming. He tells his disciple Zhong Qing to hang up the signboard later and look after the elders while he goes to prepare lunch. Got it, boss, the disciple answers. The disciple gestures for them to look up at the signboard being raised. The masters are overcome. Every word from Mr. E carries hidden meaning, they realize. Knowing they could not withstand the front hall's intent, he had a gentler signboard hung for them out of pure kindness. They break down weeping at such grace. The unimpressed disciple just tells them that crying only makes their ugly faces worse. The scene shifts to the Xuanwu sect, where the sect master learns his spy has returned alive. He made it back, the master says delighted. The spy reports to the patriarch and elders that the man has no extraordinary powers whatsoever. He is nothing but an ordinary mortal. You're not lying? The master presses. The spy swears on his life before heaven and earth. No matter how hard he provoked Feng, the man reacted like any mortal would. And why would a true master ever bother faking being one? He argues there must be a misunderstanding about the deaths of the two brothers, Jing Wuchun and Jing Wufang. He even suspects the pair are not dead at all. The spy begs to be sent back to confirm it. No need, the master replies, since if the brothers are alive, they must still be trapped inside that gym. He resolves to go see the place for himself. If that martial arts gym can truly kill, he would love to find out whether it can kill him. With that, the might of the Xuanwu sect begins to stir, and the confrontation is only just beginning. A pack of ferocious strangers comes charging out of nowhere, swarming straight toward the little martial arts gym. They spot a few old men lounging at the gate and wonder if it is some kind of trick. The leader decides the arrows are already on the string, so there is no turning back now. He tells his men not to overthink it. He will take the lead, and no one is to leave this gym alive. He writes the old men off as mere mortal relatives, blind and deaf, too foolish to flee even from death. He vows to wipe them all out along with the entire martial arts gym. One old man grumbles awake, demanding to know which bastard dares disturb their peaceful time. Then the leader feels it, the aura of ancestral martial art masters, and there are 4 of them. There is martial ancestor Li Mo Xie, who carries a fortune-telling abacus, a unique sacred relic of heaven and earth. Beside him sits Chu Shikuang, a peerless madman who slaughtered his own sect and forged everyone's skills into artifacts strung across his body. There is martial ancestor Sun Zhuge, born deformed with broken meridians, who practiced evil arts to rewrite his own fate. And martial ancestor Wu Yonghong, wielder of a 9-toothed holy rake, who once was betrayed and slaughtered an entire city, cutting down every expert who came to stop him. The leader can only choke out, "Holy shit." A master reaches out with a lazy grab, and the leader gasps, "Oh no." He is snatched up before he can even scream. His henchmen cry that this old master is monstrous, then rush in to save their leader. The masters barely move, and with a single BM, the charging henchmen are swatted flat. Terrified, the leader bows low, paying his respects to the 4 seniors and nervously asking what brings them here. He begs them not to be angry, swearing it is all a misunderstanding, that his only intention was to wipe out this little martial arts gym. The words hang in the air, and killing intent floods out of the four old men. A master says he just admitted he wants to destroy this gym, so his life cannot be spared. The leader scrambles that the younger ones were young and ignorant. One master raises a hand and says, wait. He points out it would be easy to clean these people up, but it would dirty Mr. Yi's ground, and if Mr. Yi saw it, he would surely be furious. The onlookers realize the gentleman they keep mentioning must be the real owner of this gym. A master says that although they could kill these intruders for interrupting their enlightenment, they cannot do it here on this ground. The leader whimpers that he knows he has sinned. Everyone wonders who this gentleman could be, that he can make the four most sinful madmen serve as his doormen. A master sneers, asking if the leader really thinks he has surpassed his ancestors, then suddenly remembers the eggs next door are on sale today. He tells the leader to wipe his dog face and not dirty the gentleman's eyes, while another master casually excuses himself to go buy an ingredient. Just then someone stammers, Mr. E, and announces that he has arrived. Mr. E waves it all off, saying there is no need to explain. He already knows. The crowd marvels that he looks utterly unremarkable, yet he is completely unfathomable. A master gushes that since Mr. E already understands everything, all their talking was pointless. Mr. E, who thinks he is just a mortal, muses that these old men always make a big deal out of the younger generation when they are sleepy, and shrugs that it is all right, he has been there too. A master then asks what Mr. E plans to do with the leader, and Mr. E only blinks, and the leader realizes, in horror, that his life and death now rest entirely in this mortal-looking man's hands. The four dread elders bow low and insist this is Feng's martial arts gym, so of course the master gets the final say. Feng shrugs that he has nothing to say. The elders take it as a verdict. The boy made a mistake, so he must bear the consequences. Feng mumbles that you have to give the younger generation a chance, and whether the kid grows from the lesson is his own destiny. Really, he is just in a hurry to leave. He waves at the elders to just take care of it and slips away, relieved to escape what he thinks is a tedious old man's meeting. The battered cultivator on the floor can barely believe it. Mr. E is leaving, and somehow he is still alive. The elders huddle and decode the master's words. That casual hint means they may keep observing this person, but they must not waste too much of his time. One elder gasps that leaving the matter in their hands is actually a test. Handle it wrong, and they could ruin Mr. Yi's peaceful seclusion and share the poor fool's fate. They conclude with total certainty that his blank exit was Mr. Yi's refined way of expressing pure rage. The elders panic that Mr. E wanted the youngster punished in a sincere, measured way, and instead they went on a killing spree. They snap at the survivor to hand over his storage bag. The kneeling cultivator clings to one last treasure, thinking he still has a shot at a comeback, then offers up every resource of a Xuanwu sect. An elder coldly tells him to get up. Trembling, he says he will leave first and would never dare disturb their mealtime. The elder repeats the word back at him, flat and dangerous. Leave? He plants a celestial poison in the man, warning it will spread from his arm through his whole body within 3 days. The survivor screams in disbelief and begs for mercy, protesting that he only has one hand left. The elder gives him a final answer. Get lost. The ruined cultivator flees the gym in silence, dragging his poisoned body back toward what remains of his sect. Back home, the shock finally lands in full. Cowering, he stammers that it was all a misunderstanding, trying to explain himself to the furious sect master. The sect master looms over him and repeats it back. So you think I misunderstood you? A remaining disciple asks what they should do next. They're the only ones left in the clan. So does the master still want revenge, and to reclaim the heaven-shattering stone and the swift cloak? The sect master answers with bitter sarcasm. Revenge? With his one remaining poison hand? He declares the feud between their clan and the martial arts gym is over. Anyone who dares offend that gym and its people ends up exactly like this. A disciple asks what is really inside that martial arts gym. The master shudders that their disciples were wiped out in the blink of an eye, and only his higher cultivation spared him. He rules that in the face of absolute strength, they can only let their hatred go. What matters now is guarding against the Qingshan sect. A disciple asks what the master means. He explains that the Xuanwu sect and the Qingshan sect have fought for thousands of years in perfect balance, until a reclusive power disguised as a mere mortal descended on this city. He warns that Lu Qingshan has already befriended the man and obtained a peerless sword from him. If Xuanwu simply lets it slide, Qingshan will devour and destroy them. So he decides they must do everything to flatter and get close to the young man, at least as close as Lu Qingshan is. The master turns gently to his disciple, saying he treats her like his own daughter, but the entire future of the Xuanwu sect now rests in her hands. She hesitates, admitting it is not that she is unwilling. She is afraid he simply will not like her. Steeling herself, she bows and says the disciple understands. The scene shifts across the city to the Pingjiang Chamber of Commerce. A young woman wonders why her father summoned her so suddenly. Her father asks her opinion of the author behind Dream of Red Mansions and Supreme Treasure. She answers dreamily that though she has never met him, from his books, she is certain the author must be a handsome young man. Her father confides that the Chamber of Commerce has been utterly overwhelmed by the sales of his book, The Supreme Treasure, just as the first-level chamber evaluation is about to begin. So, as a father, he wants her to build a good relationship with Feng. Inwardly, he cringes that one wrong move now forces him to sell his own daughter to save his life. She quietly says she understands. Yet another schemer decides everything hinges on one question: whether this humble picture book author will fall for her beauty or not. A servant delivers a pile of loot to Feng's door. Half of it is a gift to his grace, the other half a thank you for the rake he supposedly fixed last time, all left behind by the four grandpas. Feng stares at the haul, unimpressed. These are payment for fixing a rake? Why can't they just hand over cash? He grumbles that this junk isn't even good enough to be his dog's chew toy. Then something in the pile catches his eye. He lifts it up and inspects it more closely. He drapes the thing on and starts belting out the ballad of Baisuzhen, the white snake who cultivated 1,000 years in a cave to become immortal. To him, it is just goofing around. A while later, his dog howls uneasily. Something has felled off ever since the senior stepped through that door. From time to time, a deep and terrifying aura swells out from inside the room, and the dog freezes stiff. What could possibly be hidden in there? The utility room is locked up so tightly that nothing seems able to get out. A visitor knocks. A rep from the Baofeng Chamber of Commerce has come in person to deliver Mr. Yi's invitation to this year's poetry conference. An older guide warns the rep to tread carefully around Mr. Yi. The master has stopped wandering the city and now comprehends the lives of mortals, two things that must never be offended. The rep gushes that Mr. Yi's book, The Supreme Treasure, is now a household name, its literary genius unanimously recognized, making him a red-hot new star of the literary world. If Mr. Yi would grace the conference with his presence, he says, it would be a blessing for every talented soul in the city. Yi Feng sighs. All right. Fine. He will go and join in the fun. Privately, he is curious. He wants to see whether the culture of this other world runs deeper or whether his 5,000 years of heritage from back home is stronger. The annual poetry conference finally opens on the bank of the Chunni River in the city. The four great talents step up and pour out their finest verses, gushing overwrought lines about a love as powerful and deep as a raging sea that endures through every storm. The crowd eats it up, cheering wonderful and so good at every corny couplet. Yi Feng Yeches, Deatban. These are supposed to be the best talents in the whole city? He nearly loses it, muttering a stunned what the hell at the quality on display. Another talent launches into a cheesy ode about 1,000,000 stars in the sky and one that shines brighter, a love so precious and true, from me to you. A beauty glides up to Yi Feng, cooing that she researched his work and daily habits so as not to ruin his noble intention of experiencing a mortal life. She has even taken mortal form for him. She leans in to work her charm, boasting that no one has ever escaped her beauty trap, and he surely will not resist. Feng yelps as she treads on his foot. Not good, he thinks, sensing where this is going and bracing himself. An onlooker sighs that with a beauty like this throwing herself at him, how could any man not sweep her into his arms? Others crowd in too, calling out to the beauty that they will happily take care of her instead. Yet another woman pushes forward, breathless. Mr. E, she says, I finally get to meet you. She introduces herself as Mao Yuner, daughter of the chairman of the Pingjiang Chamber of Commerce. The first beauty scoffs. After everything Mao Yuner has done, it is ridiculous she still dares to angle for Mr. Yi's attention. Mao Yuner fires back, demanding who she even is. The rival smirks, someone you can only ever hope to reach. She snaps that Mao Yuner is not worthy of getting close to Mr. E, and the two women bristle at each other. The crowd marvels that this rather plain young man is somehow favored by two goddesses at once, one of them serenading him with a silly lemon tree love song. Feng, caught in the middle, chuckles that he is flattered, while a bystander praises what a fine poem that was. Suddenly a sharp voice cuts through the crowd. Feng, a young cultivator, storms up, snarling that Feng haunts him like a ghost. If Brother YG sees this, all his hard work will be ruined. He blocks Feng's path. After the humiliation you put me through, he seethes, you think you could just walk away that easily? He sneers that Feng thinks too highly of himself just for writing one book, still hiding behind that line from Qing Shan, still pretending to be righteous. Never forget you're only a mortal after all. You will forever be trash living at the bottom. He spits, while he himself is a disciple of the Qing Shan sect, a real cultivator Feng could never be worthy of. He rants that he hates the way Feng acts superior, calling him an ant fit only to guard his broken martial arts gym, a bottom dweller no woman would ever look at. Then a hand comes swinging around. The cultivator reels, clutching his face. How dare you hit me, he gasps. Did a mortal just strike a cultivator? Before he can finish threatening that his 9-tier martial art could crush mortals like ants, another slap lands, and he howls that it hurts. Stunned, he demands to know who dares. The striker calmly answers me, I am a fan of Mr. E. Another fan. He groans in disbelief. Over one broken book. Why do all these women treat Feng like a saint when he is nothing but an ant? A loser with no cultivation, he snarls, just another one of these vulnerable mortals. He glares around at the crowd of Feng's devoted fans, having no idea what he has truly stumbled into.